Welcome to Heart Over Gold, the channel where love, kindness, and humanity shine brighter than any fortune. In today's story, behind the walls of their Hamptons mansion, Alex Vance, a successful real estate tycoon, and his wife Sophia seemed to have it all: a loving marriage, a 4-year-old daughter, and a second child on the way. But late-night absences, secret messages, and cryptic receipts revealed a hidden betrayal. When Sophia discovered Alex's affair, her perfect life crumbled, forcing her to fight for her children, reclaim her independence, and face a future she never imagined. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments, and keep up with our latest stories. Have you ever wondered what shadows hide behind the polished walls of a grand estate? Alex Vance, a charming real estate tycoon, seemed to embody success at 37. He had built a powerful business empire, owned a sprawling Hamptons mansion, and shared his life with his wife Sophia, who was expecting their second child. From the outside, it looked like the perfect love story, but beneath the elegant surface, a devastating truth lingered. Each night, Alex slipped away, leaving Sophia to wrestle with growing suspicion and loneliness, until one evening, the reality she dreaded most stood before her. Alex Vance was a name well known in the financial world, often featured in magazines and headlines. As CEO of Vance Corporation, a blend of real estate and techie, was admired for his sharp instincts and presence. Tall, broad-shouldered, and confident, he had the kind of charisma that drew people in instantly. Yet behind his public charm, Alex was far more complicated. His wife, Sophia Jensen, his college sweetheart, was his opposite in many ways. Gentle, warm, and unassuming, Sophia preferred the quiet comfort of family life over glitzy events. Their relationship began back at Harvard, where their shared lunches and study sessions blossomed into romance. Alex's drive catapulted him into immense wealth, while Sophia built a career in early childhood education before choosing to be a full-time mother when their daughter, Clara, was born. Clara, now 4 years old, was the heart of the Vance household. With her father's playful grin and her mother's soulful eyes, she filled the mansion with joy. Sophia, 6 months pregnant with their second child, was eager to expand their family. Her life, by all appearances, seemed golden: a luxurious home, supportive relatives, especially her sister Isabella, and a circle of close friends. Yet subtle cracks had begun to show. Alex's constant business trips left Sophia alone in the vast mansion. The nanny and driver handled her daily needs, but they couldn't fill the emotional emptiness his absences created. Sophia grew used. 2 solitary dinners in a dining hall built for 20, restless nights waiting for a text from Alex, and the heavy silence when his gaze no longer held the same warmth. She began noticing receipts from restaurants they'd never visited together, and cryptic messages flashing across his phone. Her unease deepened. She tried to brush it off. After all, Alex carried the weight of a billion-dollar company, but when midnight phone calls pulled him away for so-called emergencies, Sophia's instincts told her otherwise. The household staff noticed too, offering pitying glances, though they never dared speak, unable to shake her doubt. Sophia turned to her sister Isabella, a practical and fearless woman. At Isabella's modest, cozy home, Sophia poured out her heart about the absences, the late-night departures, and the strange receipts. Isabella listened and urged her to trust her intuition. The reassurance comforted Sophia, but it didn't erase the fear. The breaking point came one night when Sophia caught Alex slipping out again, driving off in his midnight blue Maserati, her heart shattered. Desperate for answers, she contacted Detective Morales, a private investigator Isabella trusted. Sophia, once too proud to consider such measures, now felt she had no choice. Morales began surveillance immediately, promising discretion and the truth. Within days, Sophia's world caved in. Morales presented her with undeniable evidence photos of Alex with Valerie Martin, a younger woman who worked at one of his subsidiaries. Images showed them dining, laughing, even kissing. Sophia's stomach turned as she flipped through the photographs. The man who once looked at her with love now smiled with someone else. When Alex returned home, Sophia laid the evidence before him. His silence confirmed everything. His excuses, stress, midlife struggles, unfulfilled desires only deepened her pain. Holding her pregnant belly, Sophia told him to leave. Shocked, Alex retreated to the guest house, refusing to abandon the property he felt entitled to. For Sophia, that night marked the collapse of the illusion. Clara's innocent questions, why Daddy wasn't at breakfast anymore, tore at her heart. But Sophia knew the truth now. The man she loved had built a secret life with Valerie. And as she faced the wreckage, Sophia found herself standing at the threshold of heartbreak, resilience, and a future she never imagined she would face alone. She missed the moments of spontaneous affection, the weekend getaways, the quiet afternoons they used to spend watching old black and white movies. Now, every time she saw him pass through the halls of the main house to say hello to Clara or to take a phone call in the study, her chest would tighten. Alex seemed reluctant to pack his things and leave completely, as if staying in Thegist house preserved a shred of control over his marriage and his family. Sophia was starting to realize that Alex was no longer the man she had married. His reputation above all else. She suspected that, for him, admitting to his family and friends that his marriage was crumbling would be a blow to his image. Maybe he also felt genuinely guilty for hurting her, but not guilty enough to leave Valerie. One afternoon, as Sophia was reading in the sunroom with Clara, she overheard Alex's voice from the hallway. He was on a phone call. She tensed, listening for the mention of Valerie. Instead, she heard him discussing a new acquisition deal with someone named Richard, one of his key business partners. The tone of Alex's voice was tense. Sophia recognized that he felt cornered, not only in his personal life, but in his professional dealings as well. Clara, oblivious, tough, adult drama around her continued coloring in a notebook. Sophia wondered if the best thing for Clara would be to take her somewhere else, away from this suffocating environment. 2 days later, Alex cornered Sophia in the living room, looking oddly hesitant. The pride in high size had dimmed. Sophia, he began, I think we need to talk about how to move forward. Sophia crossed her arms protectively. Move forward. I asked you to leave. Alex frowned, frustration flashing across his face. Look, I can't just leave everything. I have responsibilities here. My daughter, our unborn son, and the business that's run from this property. I still love you, Sophia. Believe it or not, I do. Charusis did the urge to scoff. You love me so much. You were willing to cheat on me with another woman. His eyes flickered. I am confused. Valerie was, she's a distraction, an escape. But it's not that simple. Sophia closed her eyes, pinching the bridge of her nose. She could feel her baby moving inside her. A small reminder that life was still moving forward. No matter how broken she felt. Well, to me, it's simple. She managed to say, you made a choice. You betrayed him. Do you think I'm just going to stay here, pregnant and humiliated so you can have your cake and eat it too. I may have once been that naive, but I'm done. Alex took a step closer, his voice shaking slightly. I want to be involved with Phoebe and with Clara. I don't want to lose my kids. Sophia's eyes filled with tears. For a moment, she saw a glint of sincerity in his gaze, a glimpse of the Alex she used to know. I won't deny you your children, she whispered, but you've already lost me. The conversation ended there, abruptly, painfully. Alex returned to the guest house, and Sophia was left alone in the mansion, which now felt like a prison. She knew the staff were whispering of booth tensions, that they were casting sad glances her way as they passed. She began to pack small items, not entirely sure if she was ready to leave, but needing some sense of control. As she folded Clara's clothes and her own maternity clothes, she told herself she needed a plan, a real plan to escape this toxic environment. What do you think is the real reason Alex wants to stay on the property? Do you believe his excuses about being confused and feeling stress are genuine? Share your thoughts in the comments below. News of Alex's affair eventually reached the ears of their families and close friends. Perhaps the staff had let something slip, or maybe Isabella had confided in a friend who confided in another, and so on. Before Sophia could contain the damage, her parents, Robert and Caroline Jensen, arrived from Miami, visibly distraught. Robert was a retired police officer, fiercely protective of his daughters. He nearly pounded on Alex's door at the guest house, demanding an explanation. Sophia had to intervene to stop her father from making the situation worse. Caroline, on the other hand, spent hours by Sophia's side, stroking her hair as she cried. Meanwhile, Alex's own parents, Nicholas and Penelope Vance, were outraged by his scandal, threatening to tarnish the Vance name. While Nicholas was known for being a staunch traditionalist and a severe father, he condemned Alex's infidelity. Penelope tried to negotiate a reconciliation, her pleas delivered in a voice trembling with repressed fury. For the Vances, the facade of perfection mattered above all else, and Alex's affair with an employee was the worst public relations nightmare. In the midst of these family confrontations, Valerie Martin made her presence known in the media. A few paparazzi photosapped online, catching Alex and Valerie in NYC, further fueling the rumors of his extramarital escapades. Sophia would cringe every time she saw Valerie's name or face on social media, often accompanied by salacious gossip columns speculating on Alex's loyalty to his wife. The headlines were as sensational as they were cruel. Is Alex Vance trading his marriage for a younger flame, or abandoned pregnant wife? The Vance scandal deepens. What pained Sophia the most, however, was Alex's lukewarm defense of her. The press releases from Vance Corporation simply read, "We do not comment on personal matters," while Alex's own social media remained filled with carefully curated photos of corporate events and philanthropic initiatives. Nothing to indicate the turmoil at home. Sophia's only solace came from Clara, who remained blissfully unaware of the complexities and cruelty of adult life. Every night, as Sophia tucked Clara into bed, she would read her a fairy tale, or sing her a lullaby, hoping to preserve this fleeting innocence for as long as. But the suffocating tension was taking a toll on Sophia's health. At her next prenatal checkup, her doctor expressed concern about her elevated blood pressure and advised her to minimize stress. "You need to rest, Mrs. Vance," Dr. Sanchez said, kindly adjusting the stethoscope around her neck. "Stress can lead to complications." Sophia forced a smile. She wanted to laugh at the absurdity of the advice. How could she rest when her world was falling apart? Upon returning home from the clinic, she found Alex pacing in Thefior, a scowl on his handsome features. "We need to talk," he said gruffly. Not in the mood to hear your excuses," Sophia replied, sidestepping him. Alex put a hand on her arm. A touch thought made her skin prickle with conflicting feelings. "It's about the Vance Corporation Board of Directors. They're concerned this scandal will harm our image. They want me to address the rumors publicly." Sophia stared at him, her gaze sharp. "So now you care about how this looks to everyone else. You didn't care when you started sneaking out to see Valerie, but you care now that your precious threatened." He exhaled. The frustration was palpable. "Do you think I'm proud of what I've done? I made a mistake." "A mistake?" Sophia cut in, sneaking out night after night, sleeping with the same woman for months. "That's not a mistake. That's a choice." He opened his mouth to argue, but no words came out. Sophia moved past him, heading up the stairs. She felt an intense wave of dizziness. Her blood pressure was spiking. Clinging to the railing, she forced herself to calm her heart. Stress was the last thing she needed at that moment. As the days wore on, the stalemate continued. Alex remained on the property, while Sophia locked herself in her bedroom, trying to shield Clara from the drama. The tension boiled over when one night Sophia overheard Alex's voice drifting up from the living room. She went out to investigate and found him arguing with Valerie on the phone. The fury in his tone took her by surprise. "I told you this is complicated," he yelled, pacing back and forth. "I can't just announce our relationship to the world, especially now. My family, my wife, they're in a tailspin." A cold realization washed over Sophia. Alex was torn between preserving his carefully crafted public image, trying to keep the mother of his children from leaving, and appeasing Valerie, whose ambitions were clearly overshadowing her discretion. Sophia let out a bit. The man she once believed was her rock had become a stranger, trapped in a web of his own weaving. She quietly backed away from the living room and went to Clara's room, where her daughter was sleeping soundly, dreaming peacefully. That night, as she watched her daughter's serene face, Sophia resolved she had reached her breaking point. Her baby would be born in a few months, and she refused to bring another life into this oppressive environment. She would leave, with or without Alex's blessing. The time had come to protect herself and her children. What do you think is the most painful part of this betrayal for Sophia? Is it Alex's infidelity, or his inability to truly stand by her? Share your thoughts in the comments below. The next morning, Sophia woke up with a sense of grim determination. She called her parents and her sister, explaining that she intended to leave Alex, at least for a while, and that she needed a stable place to stay. Isabella immediately offered her home, but Sophia, worried that her sister's Stubrum bungalow might be too small with a newborn on the way. Her parents, on the other hand, had a larger residence in Miami, enough space for Sophia and her children to find sanctuary until she decided her next steps. Sophia gathered documents, her marriage certificate, Clara's birth certificate, her medical records, and enough clothing for herself and Clara to last a few weeks. She also pulled Asmol's suitcase of baby items she had been collecting in anticipation of the new arrival. Tiny onesies, soft blankets, some plush toys. The act of packing these innocent objects for Occult about to be born into such turmoil broke her heart. To her surprise, Alex was not at the guest house that morning. A staff member informed her he had left early for an urgent meeting. Sophia suppressed a joyless laugh. Alex probably had no idea his wife was about to leave for good. Maybe he had gone to Valerie's apartment. Or maybe he truly had a business emergency. Either way, Sophia didn't care. By mid-afternoon, Sophia's plan was in motion. She and Clara would be traveling to Miami with Isabella, who had come over as soon as she received Sophia's call. Just as they were loading the suitcases into Isabella's car, Alex's sleek Maserati pulled up. He got out, alarm flashing on his face as he saw his wife and daughter preparing to depart. "What's going on?" he demanded, running over to intercept her. "Where are you taking Clara?" Sophia motioned it for Clara to get into the car first. Not wanting her daughter to witness the ugliness of this confrontation, then she straightened her shoulders and looked Alex in the eye. "I'm leaving," she stated, every syllable ringing with finality. "I need space." "I can't do this no more, Alex." Panic flickered in his gaze. "You can't just take my daughter away from me. We need to talk about custody, about living arrangements." She shook her head. "We won't be talking about anything until I'm in a place where I'm not drowning in heartache. You can talk to my lawyer if you want to, but for now, Clara and I are leaving." She placed a protective hand over her belly. "And this baby is coming with me." Alex stepped closer, forcing her to look into those eyes that had once held love for her. "Sophia, I know I've been an idiot. I'm trying to work things out. Don't do anything rash. She almost laughed. "This is months, maybe years, of betrayal, Alex. Months of secrets, mutt, and late-night rendezvous. I gave you my heart, my trust, and you spit on it. I no longer care about your confusion, Ikari, about the well-being of my children." He struggled to find the right words, and for a second, Sophia thought she saw tears glistening in his eyes. But the memory of him kissing Valerie outside of that apartment building flashed in her mind, and her resolve hardened. Alex reached out to hold her, but she pulled away. "Let's be civilized, for Clara's sake," she said softly. "But I will not be disrespected. I need time to heal and to decide how to move forward." With that, she got into the passenger seat next to Isabella. Alex was left standing, frozen, his hands clenched at his sides. Sophia refused to look at him as they drove away, focusing instead on Clara's angelic face in the rearview mirror. The little girl was humming a nursery rhyme, oblivious to the life-changing decision her mother had just made. Sophia's heart pounded with a mix of fear, sadness, and a hint of relief. She was stepping into Vietnam, cutting ties with the life she had painstakingly built with Alex. But was also freeing herself from the shackles of betrayal. In that moment, she promised herself she would do whatever it took to protect her children, even if it meant starting over completely. What do you think will happen now that Sophia has left? And do you believe Alex will try to fight for his family, or will he choose his pride and reputation instead? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Arriving at her parents' home in Miami felt like stepping into another world. The house was a cozy single-story suburban dwelling with a well-tended edgerton. Robert and Caroline Jensen welcomed Sophia with open arms, leading her to the guest room they had prepared. Clara shrieked with delight at the sitif, a basket full of toys and coloring books her grandparents had set out, a thoughtful effort to make her feel at home. Despite her parents' warm hospitality, Sophia felt a rush of conflicting emotions the moment she unpacked her bags. She sank onto Thebes, pressing a hand against her belly and fighting the urge to cry. She was grateful to have a safe place, but also flooded with an overwhelming sense of failure. This wasn't the life she had imagined. Married to a successful man, raising her children in a mansion, only to end up back in her childhood home, heartbroken and adrift. Isabella, seeing Sophia's distress, gently closed the bedroom door behind them. "Hey," she said, sitting next to her sister, "you're Annette, alone, Sophia. Mum and Dad have your back. I have your back, and you're doing the right thing for Clara and the baby." Sophia nodded, swallowing the lump in her throat. "I just never thought I'd be in this position. Alex and I built a life together. Part of me still can't believe I left." Isabella placed a comforting hand on Sophia's shoulder. "You had to. You weren't safe there emotionally, psychologically, and the baby needs a stress-free environment." That afternoon, Sophia spoke privately with her father. Robert, with his gruff exterior, tried to keep his anger at Alex in check. He offered something Sophia hadn't expected: legal advice. "I have a friend, Mark Bennett," Robert said in a calm, measured tone. "He's a family law attorney here in Miami. He'll help you navigate custody, financial support, all of it." Sophia's head spun. She had never considered how complicated a potential separation or divorce might be. "Alex might fight me," she said in a low voice. "Not because he wants me, but because he won't let his public image take a hit. He'll try to turn the situation around, or he might just try to overwhelm me with expensive lawyers." Her father's jaw tightened. Then Wilb, ready. "You're our daughter. I'll do everything in my power to protect you." With her parents' encouragement, Sophia got in touch with Mark Bennett and set up an initial consultation over the phone. Mark provided her with a list of documents she would need for a potential custody and divorce case: financial records, bank statements, property deeds, prenuptial agreements, if there were any. Sophia realized she barely knew the full extent of Alex holdings. The man had his wealth tied up in numerous corporate entities. The task of untangling the finances seemed overwhelming, but Sophia pushed through. She had the choice now. In the meantime, Clara adjusted surprisingly well to her new surroundings. Perhaps it was the novelty of living with doting grandparents, or maybe the innocence of youth made transition seizure. Every night, Clara would insist Sophia read her the same picture book, Good and Night Moon, just as they used to do in the Hamptons. The routine was a comforting reminder that some parts of her life remained intact. As the days stretched into a week, Alex's calls became more frequent. Sophia, with her doctor's guidance, had decided to block out stress and negativity as much as possible, but she did allow Clara to speak to her father via video call. She watched from a distance as Clara chatted excitedly about her new bedroom and the fun she was having with Grandpa Robert. Alex made several attempts to speak to Sophia directly, but she remained firm. She would only communicate with him via text or email about matters related to Clara's well-being. Still, curiosity plagued her. She felt compelled to check social media for any sign of Alex or Valerie, but she resisted the urge, knowing it would only open fresh wounds. One afternoon, Sophia received an unexpected call from an old friend, Lucy White, who worked in media relations for one of Alex's philanthropic initiatives. "Hi, Sophia," Lucy said with hesitation. "I just wanted you to know there have been whispers that Alex and Valerie appeared together at a gala event last night. Photos are circulating. I'm sorry." Sophia swallowed, her heart squeezed. She thanked Lucy for letting her know. Although she had left Alex, hearing that he was gallivanting with Valerie supinely still hurt. She tried to focus on her new reality, preparing for the baby, making sure Clara remained carefree and forging a path forward with legal counsel. Yet Alex's presence loomed like a storm cloud, threatening to rain out any moment. What do you think is Sophia's biggest challenge right now? And what will it take for her to move on and fully embrace her new life? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. 2 weeks after arriving in Miami, Sophia met with Mark Bennett in person. He was a tall, soft-spoken man who exuded competence and empathy. They sat in his tastefully decorated office with a bookshelf of law books towering behind him. Sophia clutched a folder containing documents she managed to bring from the mansion. Given the evidence of infidelity, Mark began scanning theft. We could file for divorce on the grounds of adultery, but Florida is a no-fault divorce state, so the affair won't necessarily grant you a better settlement on that basis alone. Although it could factor into spousal support and custody considerations, especially if Alex's behavior affects the children's well-being. Sophia nodded, feeling a surge of nerves. Alex is a millionaire, possibly a billionaire if you consider the work conglomerate. I don't want to be greedy, but I need enough for Clara's future. And the new baby. Mark removed his reading glasses and leaned forward. That's understandable. Let's start by filing for financial disclosures. The law will require Alex to provide details on all his assets, income, and debts. As for custody, we'll propose a parenting plan that prioritizes the best interest of your children. She took a deep breath. He'll fight it. He won't let me go easily. His pride. Well, you know how he is with powerful men. Mark offered her a reassuring smile. We'll handle it. In the meantime, you focus on your health and your pregnancy. Leave the legal complexities to me. That night, Sophia lay awake in bed, contemplating the enormity of her decision. She felt she was entering a battlefield where Alex would have every advantage: wealth, connections, a polished public image, but she also knew she was doing the right thing. Her children deserved a mother who was whole, not shattered by betrayal. Alex's reaction to the legal papers came swiftly. A week after filing the claim, Sophia received a barrage of texts from him that swung from rage to remorse. 1 minute he was lashing out, accusing her of overreacting, and then next he was begging for another chance. She found it increasingly difficult to navigate his emotional shifts. During a video call with Clara, Alex requested to speak with Sophia directly. She hesitated, but agreed. Alex's face filled the screen. A mixture of desperation and frustration etched into his features. How can you drag us to court? He demanded. His voice trembled with barely contained anger. We have a daughter together and another on the way. We should work this out amicably. Do you want Clara to grow up in a broken home? Sophia's cheeks flushed with fury. It was already broken when you, Desidetto, have an affair. I'm not the one who destroyed our marriage, Alex. We tried to talk, but you never left. Valerie, don't you dare blame me for doing what I have to do. He ran a hand over his face, sighing. You don't understand the pressure I'm under. The business is in a precarious position. The board is on edge about the scandal. I'm trying to keep everything from falling apart. Sophia couldn't help the bitter laugh that escaped her. And what do you think I am doing, Alex? I'm pregnant, alone, and trying to build a life for our children away from the chaos you created. They stared at each other across the screen. The silence crackled with unresolved tension. Finally, Alex hung up the call abruptly, leaving Sophia shaking. She had once seen Alex as her knight in shining armor. Now he was a man desperate to control a narrative he could no longer manage. The weeks stretched into months, and Sophia's pregnancy advanced. Each day brought new challenges: legal depositions, communication through lawyers, and the emotional toll of breaking a marriage she had nurtured for almost a decade. Yet, amidst the turmoil, Sophia found unexpected sources of strength. She began to reconnect with old friends in Miami and to volunteer at a local community center her mother frequented. Though heavily pregnant, she helped organize reading programs for children and basic childcare, finding solace in the laughter of kids. It reminded her of the fulfilling work she once pursued. As a teacher, Sophia also found support in a small prenatal yoga group. There she met women from all walks of life, each with her own burden: single mothers, working mothers, older, first-time mothers. These connections allowed Sophia to share her story and hear the experiences of others, breaking the isolation she had felt for months. When she confided in a fellow mother to be named Lucy about Alex's affair and their ongoing legal battle, Lucy squeezed her hand warmly. "You will get through this," she said with a supportive smile. "Your baby will be all the stronger for having a mother who refused to be broken." Days before her due date, Sophia received a call from Mark Bennett. "Good news," he said, sounding relieved. "Alex's team has submitted an offer for a provisional custody and support agreement. It's not final, but it appears he's willing to cooperate, at least financially." Sophia's hand trembled slightly as she held the phone. "That's progress. There is suggesting joint legal custody for Clara, with you retaining primary physical custody. Alex wants visitation rights, which can be worked out on weekends or through scheduled visits in Miami. He has also agreed to cover all of your medical costs for the pregnancy, plus child support. The final settlement will require more negotiation, but this is a positive step." Tears of relief welled up in her eyes. It was far from perfect. An entire labyrinth of legalities still awaited her. But at least for now, Alex was acknowledging his responsibilities. Sophia felt a glimmer of hope that if nothing else, Hugh would remain a present father to Clara and the baby. That night, she told her parents what had transpired. Robert nodded solemnly, offering a rare smile. "Even if Alex is doing it to save face or to appease his board, it's good for you and the children." Sophia couldn't argue with that. A sense of cautious optimism settled over her, even as she braced for the emotional trials of giving birth without a husband by her side. She allowed herself a small spark of happiness, imagining the moment she would hold her newborn in her arms, free from the lies that had once strangled her spirit. A night just a few days before her scheduled due date, Sophia's phone rang. It was Alex. She hesitated, her heart racing, but answered. "I'm in Miami," he said, "at a hotel near your parents' house. I need to see you, please." Sophia's mind raced. "Why?" she asked, clutching the phone tighter. "I need to apologize properly." Against her better judgment, she agreed to meet him at a neutral location, a nearby cafe that closed late. It was a short drive from her parents' house, and though she was heavily pregnant, she felt she needed this one last face-to-face conversation before the baby arrived. She found Alex already seated at a corner table, nursing a cup of coffee. He stood up quickly when she walked in, offering to help her into a seat. Sophia refused, carefully lowering herself into a chair. For a few moments, neither of them spoke. She noticed Alex looked thinner with dark circles under his eyes. Finally, he cleared his throat. "Sophia, you look, Redito Pop," he said, awkwardly, a half smile on his lips. She pursed her lips. I am due any day now. He exhaled, fidgeting with his coffee cup. Listen, I am sorry for everything I have done. I know that sounds hollow right now, but I need you to know I regret hurting you. Sophia's eyes shimmered with tears, sharefist to shed. What do you want from me, Alex? He swallowed. I, Valerie, Andy, are finished. I ended it a few weeks ago. I realized I was using her as an escape from my problems, and it wasn't fair to anyone involved. Sophia raised an eyebrow. And what? You want to meddle? You chose her over me when it mattered. A flicker of pain crossed his face. I deserve that, but this isn't just about guilt. I still love you, Sophia. I'm sorry it took all this mess for me to see how much I was losing. She felt a pang in her chest, a faint echo of the love she had once professed. What you're losing? She repeated, her voice shaking. Sometimes we break things so badly they can't be fixed, Alex. Love alone isn't enough when there is no trust. He reached across the table, hesitating paw resting a hand on hers. Sophia, I don't expect you to take me back, but please, let me be there for you for the baby. Let me at least try to make things right. For a long moment, Sophia looked at him, memories flashing by. Their wedding day under the Spanish sun, Clara's birth, the nights they spent dreaming of a future they would build together. Alex's betrayal had tainted those memories. Butit hadn't. Erased them entirely. She gently pulled her hand away. I'm glad you're taking responsibility, she said, but I'm not ready to forgive you. I don't know if I ever will. What I do know is that our children deserve a father who is present and honest. For their sake, I'm willing to come to a civil agreement. Alex nodded, tears glistening in his eyes. Thank you, he whispered. They parted that night with a quiet understanding that their relationship had irrevocably changed. 2 days later, Sophia went into labor in the early morning hours. She was rushed to the hospital with her parents by her side. The contractions seized her in waves of pain. The staff prepared her room, and her sister Isabella arrived shortly after, offering comforting words in a steady presence. In the midst of labor, Sophia held on to Isabella's hand. Sweat beaded her forehead. She cried out as each contraction hit. The physical pain mixed with the emotional intensity of this pivotal moment after hours of labor. Sophia gave birth to a healthy baby boy. The wave of relief and love that filled her was overwhelming. In that instant, her heartbreak took a backseat to the fierce protectiveness and devotion she felt for this tiny new life. The news reached Alex, who burst into the hospital, breathless and disheveled. Shortly after the baby was born, Sophia was exhausted, still in the delivery room, cradling her newborn. When Alex silently walked in, he paused in the doorway, tears once again welling in his eyes. Sophia studied his expression, seeing a raw vulnerability she hadn't seen in years. With a tentative nod, she allowed Alex to approach. He came to the side of the bed and looked at his son. Awe and regret washed over his face. Carefully, she allowed him to hold the baby for a moment. In that silent, fragile truce, both parents acknowledged the new life he had created, the bond that would forever tie them together, even if their marriage was fractured beyond repair. Sophia took a shaky breath. She didn't know what the future held, whether they would finalize the divorce, or if Alex would truly change. But for now, she focused on what mattered most, her children's health and her own newfound self. She had walked away from a mansion and a lifestyle many dreamed of, but she had also escaped a web of lies. And in her arms, she held a reason to believe that better days were ahead. Thank you for joining us on this emotional roller coaster of love, betrayal, and resilience. Sophia's story proves that even in thefts of heartbreak, a person can find the strength to stand up for herself and protect what truly matters: family, self-worth, and emotional well-being. We witnessed how a woman reclaimed her independence, seeking refuge with her loved ones, and rebuilding her life while preparing to welcome a new child. Alex's actions serve as a reminder that trust, once broken, is difficult to mend. Yet, in the darkest of moments, there can still be glimmers of redemption and hope for change.